Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show.
Cheers, and welcome listeners to this special holiday edition of Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I am Matt Conrad. Today we are recording from Mike's garage as the snow advisory closed the roads and no pubs are open.
That's right, Matt. And who do we have with us today?
No one. Laura Warren is supposed to be here, but she'd need a dog sled to find us. I'm not even sure if I can get out of here. I'll probably have to wait until the plow comes through.
So we're stuck.
Yes. But at least we have the fine Nova Scotia craft beer. Like this Great Roads Naughty or Nice Stout.
That's cool, Matt. I'm drinking this cool and refreshing Bud Light.
Bud Light? That's not even remotely craft beer.
Yes, but we need more sponsorship money for our plans next season, so I'm aiming at the big dogs. Plus, Bud Light's crisp, smooth taste and delicate malt sweetness makes it fine for almost any occasion.
Okay, so we might be stuck here for a while. Do you feel like doing another one of our multi-episode recaps? It's almost year end.
Nah, we talked a lot this season. Let's just shut up and enjoy our beers for a minute.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so, do you want to cancel the show?
We can't cancel the Christmas special, man. I have an idea. Let's tell a good old-fashioned story or two that can help get listeners in the holiday spirit.
Okay, now I really want to go home.
Come on, man. Let's just try one. Here, I'll go first. Welcome to the Yuletide Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Matt Conrad.
First, a Christmas story of two dear lovers who sacrificed their most prized possession for each other. A heartwarming reminder that sometimes love means letting go of the things you hold dearest.
Okay, we can do this, but can I ask you to speak normal?
Sure, man, sorry. Once upon a time, in a quaint little Christmassy maritime village, there lived two souls who were deeply in love. Jim, a humble carpenter, and Delilah, a talented seamstress. Their love was the kind of truly endearing passion. A love that makes movies like The Notebook look plausible. Jim's most prized possession was a beautifully crafted wooden chest, passed down through generations. The chest was not only any old piece of furniture, it was a symbol of his family's legacy that honors dedication, hard work, and craftsmanship. Delilah, on the other hand, cherished her grandmother's antique sewing machine. It was an heirloom that stitched together countless memories and dresses for both Delilah, her mother, as well as her two sisters. Most sewing machines this old would be thrown in a well or a river, but this sewing machine still worked perfectly fine and chummed along to a fine tune whenever she returned to the old machine to work on it. One day, a terrible blizzard hit the village. Nobody saw it coming, and preparations for a blizzard of this magnitude were near impossible. The storm came and went, but not without causing significant damage to their tiny little home. After the storm left, the roof leaked, the walls cracked, and when they looked at their savings, they realized there was not enough money to cover the repairs. They'd have to sell at least some of their belongings off to cover the repair bill.
Wait, did they not have insurance? Because I know a guy.
Just let me tell the story.
All right.
Jim, knowing how much the sewing machine meant to Delilah, couldn't bear to see her part with it. So Jim decided to sell his cherished wooden chest. He found a buyer in town who appreciated its value and craftsmanship, and with a heavy heart, he parted with it. The money Jim received was just enough to finish the repairs on the house. Delilah, not realizing that Jim had already went to town and sold his chest, wanted to prevent Jim from doing so. So he went to the town and proceeded to sell her antique sewing machine too.
Did she not try OnlyFans?
Ooh, geez. She found a collector who was quite amazed at the condition and promised to take good care of it. She left with a heavy heart, but at peace that at least the machine would continue to have a warm appreciation. Later that evening at the supper table, Jim professed that he'd rid the sacred chest so they could finish the necessary repairs. With a tearful eye, Delilah told Jim that she did the exact same thing with her grandmother's sewing machine. After a warm embrace, they both laughed, and Jim said, "Well, I guess I have a few extra dollars then. Why don't we take a moment and get out on the town tonight?"
Rightfully so. Go to a pub.
Yeah.
Have a pint.
Absolutely. So after a couple of drinks, the two of them that evening decided to take the additional overage and go downtown to the fancy new Harborfront Casino.
Oh.
It was a magical night. Jim paid for the carriage to escort them both and dressed in his finest wardrobe as Delia wore a shimmering blue dress that she hadn't put on since she was a bridesmaid in her sister's wedding nearly 5 years ago. They ate a marvelous meal at the buffet and wined and dined themselves like they hadn't done so in years before venturing down to the craps table. Happy and full, Jim rolled the dice as Delilah cheered him on. Enthusiastically, almost as with a sense of holiday magic, they began winning.
Oh!
Yeah, and, I got lost here. Roll after roll, Jim won again, and again, and again. A crowd had even gathered around to watch. One observer proclaimed that they must be a sweet young honeymoon couple on a roll, while another claimed that they were probably swindlers from another town not too far from there. Delilah and Jim paid no mind to their comments, as they both felt perfectly happy and free to be enjoying each moment together. Jim was having just as much fun as he didn't realize their earnings until he stared at his chips and realized he was quite a way up.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe not enough to buy back both his chest and the sewing machine, but he'd now be able to snag up one of them for certain. Jim pondered with one more roll. They would definitely have enough money to buy back both of their family possessions and repair the roof on Jim's home. But a moment before he rolled, he thought deeply of everything that they had lost to get them to this terrific and sporadic evening. He looked into Delilah's eyes, and without saying a word, he stopped. Jim looked into Delilah's blue, sparkling eyes and said, "Let's get home."
Ah, weak.
That was romantic, I think. The very next morning was Christmas Eve. Jim was already up that morning with a gift placed under the tree. Delilah noticed the gift right away and thought to herself, "Oh no, he left early last night so he could just have enough money to buy back my sewing machine." Though her heart she felt appreciation of the gesture, she still felt the machine now had the weight of a newfound guilt. Jim saw the package and seemed to make her uneasy. By the warm smile, he said, "Open it." Delilah put on her best smile and opened the box. She unwrapped it slowly. Inside the box revealed not the machine, but a beautiful handmade wooden frame. And inside the frame was a piece of cloth, with the words carefully threaded, written by needle, "To creating the next memory." The words read. Delilah hugged Jim. "It's perfect, Jim, thank you." "Merry Christmas," said Jim. After that day, Jim and Delilah's love continued to grow stronger. They found new ways to create and cherish memories, knowing that their love and appreciation for the present moment was the greatest treasure of them all. And whenever they faced challenges, they remembered the sacrifices they had made and the love that had carried them through. The end.
That was a great story, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was very nice. Andrew's very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you, sir. And, yeah. So, that's my story. Now it's your turn.
Okay, well, I think I have one for you. It's a little holiday story based on putting your differences aside for the greater good. So, here it goes. Once upon a time in a quaint village of Brewville, Christmas was always a time of joy, laughter, and most importantly, beer. The villagers prided themselves on their unique Christmas brew, a tradition that had been passed down for generations. However, this year, a dark cloud loomed over Brewville as a series of disputes threatened to ruin the festive season. It all started with the hop growers, led by the crotchety old Mr. Greenleaf, who had a disagreement with the brewers over the price of hops. The weather in Brewville this year was inclement, and the Greenleaf was being approached by some of the other communities who had interest in his farmed festival hops. So, driving up the price seemed like the best thing to do to yield his fierce new demand. This job isn't getting any cheaper, and I'm not getting any younger. My hops are top standard and deserve to be sold at a premium, he proclaimed. The brewers, headed by the meticulous Mr. Brewster, felt the prices were too high and refused to budge. They expected loyalty from Greenleaf for supporting him for so many years, and felt insulted when Greenleaf put his price up. Brewster pondered if Greenleaf cared at all for the citizens of Brewville, and so he blasted him on social media relentlessly. That cranky old man has forgotten who supported him first. Meanwhile, the yeast supplier, led by fiery Miss Fermenta, she criticized Brewster over his portrayal of superiority over both the grower and the yeast maker. Mr. Brewster thinks he's too important to even pay a bill on time, while old cranky pot Greenleaf thinks he's the cure to world hunger. As Christmas approached, the villagers grew anxious. The thought of Christmas without their beloved holiday beer was unbearable.
Unbearable?
Yeah, sure, either works. A particular villager, Mr. Hopsack, was so sad about the prospect of not having beer for Christmas that he took his guitar and strummed out a sad tune.
It's Christmas Eve, the snow's falling down, the lights are twinkling all over town. But there is a problem, oh dear, the fridge is empty, there is no beer. Santa, Santa, please hear my plea, bring me some cheer and a cold one for me. Christmas is here, but it's not the same. Without a beer, it's a crying shame.
The stockings are hung, the tree is all bright. Something's missing on this festive night. We've got the cookies, family's all here, but all that I need is refreshing cold beer. Santa, Santa, please hear my plea. Bring some cheer and a cold one for me. Christmas is here, but it's not the same. Without a beer, this Christmas is lame.
We'll still sing carols and visit around town,
but without a brewski, we won't stick around.
So Santa, please Santa, on your sleigh ride,
drop off a 2-4, we'll be satisfied.
Santa, Santa, please hear my plea. Bring some cheer and a cold one for me. Christmas is here, but it's not the same. Without a beer, it's a crying shame.
The town of Brewville applauded Mr. Hopsack's tune. The mayor of Brewville, Miss Holly, was so intrigued by Hopsack's song, decided to intervene. She called for a meeting at the town hall, hoping to mediate and find a solution. The atmosphere in the hall was tense. Mr. Greenleaf stood with his arms crossed, glaring at Mr. Brewster, who was busy adjusting his glasses. Miss Fermenta tapped her foot impatiently, trying to manage her bubbly temper. Miss Holly began. We all know how important Christmas brew is.
Sorry, can you say Miss Holly in like a woman's voice?
Sure, I can do that. So Miss Holly began. We all know how important our Christmas brew is. That's more like a Monty Python thing.
You do it like in a try to get in
Monty Python. Yeah,
not too much because she does a lot of talking.
All right. Mrs. Holly began. We all know how important our... No, I can't do it like that. Mrs. Holly began. We all know how important our Christmas brew is in Brewville. It's not just about the beer. It's about our tradition, our community. We need to find a way to work together. Mr. Greenleaf grumbled. I just want a fair price for my hops. We've worked hard all year. Mr. Brewster retorted. And we need to keep our costs down to make the beer affordable for everyone. Miss Fermenta added. And I need my payments on time. My yeast doesn't grow on trees, you know. So Miss Holly raised her hand, silencing the room. I understand all your concerns, but let's think... I can't talk. Mrs. Holly raised her hand, silencing the room. I understand all your concerns, but let's think about what we can do to make this work. Mr. Greenleaf, you could offer a discount on the hops if we promise to buy more next year. Mr. Greenleaf thought for a moment and nodded. I suppose I could do that. Miss Holly turned to Mr. Brewster. And Mr. Brewster, you could agree to slightly higher price this year to help Mr. Greenleaf. You can manage the increase between this year and next. Mr. Brewster adjusted his glasses again. Yes, this may be a workable solution. Miss Holly finally looked at Miss Fermentia. And Miss Fermentia, you could accept the payments from Mr. Brewster in forms of a payment plan that Mr. Brewster will hopefully be able to manage better. Miss Fermentia pondered. With a small amount of interest, I think we can make that work. With agreements in place, the villagers of Brewville got back to work together. They all tirelessly brewed the Christmas beer together. While working alongside one another, the three got to know each other a little better as well, with Mr. Brewster actually learning that Greenleaf wasn't the old crankpot he had imagined, and with Greenleaf and Brewster both learning that Miss Fermentia was actually a very kind and generous person who often gave much of her proceeds from her yeast earnings away to charity. As a result, maybe the best brew that Brewville had ever had that year was created. On Christmas Eve, the village square was filled with laughter and cheer as the first barrels of the Christmas brew were tapped. The villagers raised their glasses, toasting to unity, tradition, and the spirit of Christmas. And so, Brewville's Christmas was saved, proving that when people come together and put their differences aside, they can achieve anything. So cheers to that. The end.
Wow, even your Christmas stories have board meetings.
Okay, I wasn't going to rewrite Romeo and Juliet like you were. Antique sewing machines, Mike. Casino, really?
Well, my story does encompass a bit of what our show is about, appreciating the moment, respecting the sacrifices of the past, and moving forward to the future.
My story does also. A lot more can be done with communication, working together, than being angry, uncooperative, drifting apart, and might I remind you a theme this year about being kind.
That's right, I agree with that, dude. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I think I just heard the snowplow. So I'm out of here. Thank you so much to our listeners, guests and friends and family that supported us so much throughout the year. This cheers is to all of you.
Cheers! For a bonus, we have one more Christmas special song for you, performed by previous guest Jon Mullane. Enjoy.
Sleigh rides, pine cones, hot apple pie, snowmen, Yuletide, December sky. Trying to catch that feeling, such a special time of year. We've got a long way to go, but we'll all be home for Christmas. You're not alone. We can all make a wish on the holiday star. Fireside, reindeer, angels in snow, tree lights, the holidays done. Holidays done. We've got a long way to go, but we'll all be home for Christmas. You're not alone. We can all make a wish on the holidays. We've got a long way to go, but we'll all be home for Christmas. You're not alone, and we'll all make a wish on the holiday star. Holiday star. The holiday star.
Hey guys, I'm finally here.
Thank you for listening to the Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.